Excessive sweating can be uncomfortable and in some cases embarrassing. Today we have Martin Kimamo, who is the founder of Hyperhidrosis Awareness Kenya, and he's also an advocate of hyperhidrosis. So what is hyperhidrosis?
Hyperhidrosis is simply defined as excessive sweating.
Okay.
Yes.
What are the points of sweating, and how would you say this is what excessive sweating would amount to?
Well, when it comes to hyperhidrosis, there are two types of hyperhidrosis. So we have primary focal hyperhidrosis, which is the medical condition itself. It's not a side effect to a medication or an underlying medical condition.
Yeah.
It's localized, meaning there are those target areas where the person or the patient experience the excessive sweating. So these areas will include both hands, armpits, feet, the chest, the back, the groin area, the buttocks, the face, and scalp.
Sweating excessively, when did it begin and when did you realize that there's a problem?
Mine started in my early childhood.
Yeah.
I noticed when I was 7, but growing up, my parents will notice that I have sweat puddles forming on my palms and feet. That was then.
Yeah.
And when I joined in nursery school, because for me, I'm old school, we don't know kindergarten.
Yeah.
So back then, I noticed I was the only one with excessive sweating. The rest are okay. And children are playful, so you hold hands, you have to form a circle. There are those interactive games that children do.
Yeah.
And anytime we'll hold hands with others, they will point out, children are innocent. They'll be like,
Yeah,
why are you
they'll call it
sweating?
out as
Why
it
this?
is.
Amenipaka maji.
Yeah.
So imagine I'm receiving that constantly. So I started being more subconscious at that age.
What did it do to your self-esteem, even right through school and even as an adult?
Number one, there is that feeling of isolation, because you feel like you're the only one with this condition, so you feel odd. And the way people react to your excessive sweating,
Yeah.
the way you touch someone and they tend to back off. And in some cases, when you have plantar hyperhidrosis, which occurs on the feet, and you're wearing shoes, so it's in an enclosed environment, and apocrine glands are predominantly around the feet. So sweat with odor, it's been secreted mostly in the apocrine glands.
Yeah.
And you're wearing shoes, it's an enclosed environment, so you have athlete foot, fungal infections. That's why people have smelly feet.
Okay. All right.
So I'll battle smelly feet. That was back then. And there's that general discomfort that you feel. If the weather is hot, it's crazy. When it's cold, your feet are cold and you're sweating.
Yeah.
So it's challenging, and it affects your social life. When in school, doing your homework becomes an issue because you're forming sweat puddles all over your books.
Yeah.
Again, I'm from that generation where we were not flogged. Flogging is too bougie. For us, we are tortured.
Yeah. You're beaten
The
thoroughly.
beating you receive, because now even your teachers will get agitated with your sweat. And when they cane you, and the more you sweat now, the more angry.
The beatings increase.
Exactly.
So in terms of management, and you seem like you now know what works for you. How do you manage the sweating episodes?
Well, just to take you back just a little bit, hyperhidrosis before and now, it's still unreported, undetected, and it's hardly talked about. So I took upon myself to share my story with the world, to encourage someone to do the same. There are only few medical practitioners that can manage excessive sweating. A majority, they just face a total or rather severe case of misdiagnosis.
when you see a specialist, is it a dermatologist, or which kind of doctor would you see for hyperhidrosis?
Dermatologists are the best when it comes to managing hyperhidrosis. And in terms of treatment, first you have to start with topical treatments.
Yeah, which are application.
Yes.
Yes,
and
like ointments and creams.
Not necessarily. We are talking of clinical strength antiperspirants.
Okay.
Not the ordinary ones that you find.
So there's a specific one
tailored for hyperhidrosis.
Hyperhidrosis.
Yes.
So what does it do? How does it act?
Well, with the active ingredient,
Yeah.
it has a higher percentage. We are talking of between 15, 20 is on the higher side, but mostly roughly 13 to 15% or 16. So what they do, your sweating is excessive. So it tries to bring it to a point where it's manageable. Yes.
And in terms of medication, oral medicines, tablets, or probably a lifestyle change, is it something that you've had to adjust to ensure that the sweating is manageable?
Hyperhidrosis, you have to approach it from a holistic point of view.
Yeah.
Topical treatment is not a guarantee. So you have to combine different therapies. Because even when it comes to oral medication, which are prescribed by a dermatologist, if we compare the two, topical treatments, they target the area you want to manage. So if it is your hands, it's your hands, armpits, or other focal areas as mentioned. But oral medication, it controls the whole body sweat. So areas that are unaffected, they get affected.
And finally, as we wrap up, what are the key messages that you want to get out there in terms of managing sweating?
There is the biggest problem, the biggest issue is the social psychological stigma associated with hyperhidrosis. There are people who can't get their IDs because they can't read their fingerprints. So they get outstared and lashed out. Biometric system of identification, there is that social isolation associated with it. Right now as we speak, there are people who are battling some serious mental issues because of it. Hyperhidrosis is an everyday problem. You wake up in the morning, you have to be very subconscious about how am I going to do my job? How am I going to handle customers? You're in a work environment that encourages human interaction. It takes a toll on the person living with it. Imagine all your focal areas sweating at the same time. You have your hands, you have your armpits, your feet, and other areas.
It makes it uncomfortable.
You have to change your wardrobe. Like for me personally, if I'm not doing black, I'm doing white. I cannot put on
colored because
I can't experience colors. And you see now, you may look at me, but let me tell you, the most affected are women. Young ladies, they're the most affected. We have patients from other continents, from other places. I'm talking of the Philippines, South Africa, Ghana, Indonesia, the US. They reach out to us because they are not receiving support from their parents, from their loved ones. And I don't blame them because they don't understand that what they have is a medical condition. And if they get to know the two types, then they'll be able to help their loved ones.
Okay. And that's a good point to end at. And Martin challenges each one of us to consider that persons with hyperhidrosis have a medical condition they're dealing with. So it would be good to accept them, to be inclusive, and also walk the journey with them to reduce the anxiety and also to help them manage hyperhidrosis or excessive sweating better. Thank you for watching Wanja's Health Diary.